come. So all the devotees have to beg him to come to New York. He lives at the temple in DC and does such valuable service. So it's very hard for him to get away. But we sincerely pray he can also come in person to Bhakti Center to give us his association and give class. He met the devotees in 1980 while at the University of Michigan and joined the Detroit Temple in 1992 and was initiated in 1993 by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. And he served and lived as a full-time temple devotee in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Potomac, doing everything from when he was in Detroit to literally doing like every single arti, every single dressing, every single puja for the deities all day, every single day, to being a teacher, he's done so many different services, building community and being a mentor and Shiksha Guru for so many, including myself. He's my Shiksha Guru. And he currently lives at ISKCON of DC, and we're just literally people, he gives the best classes, as you all will see. He teaches Bhakti Shastri and many different things. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Giri Govardhan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sure. Hare Krishna. Before we begin, Giri Govardhan Prabhu, let's not forget to leave 10-15 minutes before 8 o'clock for reflections and interaction.
Yes, indeed. We'll do that. All right. Yeah, I hope I don't have to live up to all that. We can just have a nice little class here. But anyway, I would like to normalize that the people don't have to be so great to speak, that we can actually speak to each other and be able to share whatever we know. And we kind of have this thing where, because the Vyasa-san actually is not meant to honor the person. It's meant to honor the subject. So sometimes we have that kind of thing. Somebody has to be some amazing qualifications. I think we don't have to necessarily. We have to be able to speak faithfully to the tradition. That's it. So I guess little quickly, Jaya Radha Madhava. My microphone probably won't tolerate kartals very well, so I'm just going to clap softly here, and we'll do that. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So just a question of procedure. Should I share my screen and show the verse, or what should we do? How do you do that? Do you chant the verse together? What is your normal procedure?
Yeah, but we kind of do it quickly.
Okay.
We do it quickly, simple way. You don't have to share. Don't have to do
anything. Okay. All right. Just
sincerely to the tradition. That's all.
Okay. So we'll just kind of go through the translation and purport. I'll just chant quickly the verse. It's so I chose this particular verse. It's a famous verse, and I did it because I had the choice here in Ekadashi to do whatever I wanted. I chose a verse that's related to things I've been thinking a lot about these days, and so I cherry picked this verse to be able to do that. I think that's probably what people do. So anyway, it's Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 6, and it's Savai Pungsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Dhokshaje Ahoy Tukyapati Hata Yayatma Suprasidati. And the translation is: the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. And Srila Prabhupada's commentary says, in this statement, Sri Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Nimesharanya. The sages ask him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas describe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the pravritti marga, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called the nivritti marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or Brahmabhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just a futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, the adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has its eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant and the served. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. So in the verse here, there's the two words that it's ahoitiki and apratihata. That devotional service in its full flowering has this quality of not having any selfish motivation. Prabhupada and that it's continuous, it's unbroken, and this really comes from it's reflected in Rupa Goswami's definition of bhakti. It's anya balashita shunyam, which Prabhupada says is without desires other than those for the service of Krishna. That's his first part of his translation of that. And then it says without, and then he says, the other part, jnana karmadya navritam, it's not obstructed by other endeavors. And so, but Prabhupada mentions that this is something that happens gradually. Right? It doesn't so many times when people encounter this notion of that we simply act in order to please Krishna without desires other than those for the service of Krishna or to please Krishna, that they think that's something that they can access right away or that they're obliged to access right away. And Prabhupada mentions that this is a gradual process. That this we can understand as we engage in it. And Prabhupada right away this is first canto, second chapter, verse 6. Let's see, is what it is. And then and he says, so it's something that happens gradually. And Prabhupada indicates that both by his purport in this verse and by his translation of this having no other desires, without desires other than service of Krishna. And he goes, kama, or without material desires, he says, such as those for meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and addiction to intoxicants. And so what we have here in the verse today is Prabhupada talked a lot about upgrading, and Prabhupada talks about this a lot in all of his in so many of his purports, that by taking up devotional service, we have this opportunity to upgrade our existence. Right? We have a temporary, unenlightened and not so happy existence, and that can be upgraded to eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And so it's a step onto the platform, and it's because that's about us, right? That's related to our welfare. It's not about pleasing Krishna directly. It's we want to upgrade our existence, but it's something we can get a hold of. It's something we can appreciate and get us on the path of devotional service. It's important that way. What I want to talk about a little bit today is that you start on that kind of path, but we want to move towards, or it's more about Krishna and less about us. And I want to talk about one factor in that. I think that isn't spoken about a lot. And in the definition of bhakti given by Rupa Goswami, there's a line, anukulyena krishanushilanam, that bhakti looks like this. It's shilanam means actions, directed, and Krishna means directed towards Krishna, and anukulyena with a favorable attitude. Right? So Prabhupada, he defines bhakti as devotional service. And so there's two components to it, right? There's the devotion or the good feeling towards Krishna, and then there's the activity. You'll find in the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada kind of emphasizes one, where he says that mere sentiment, bhakti isn't mere sentiment, but it's practical action. And then you'll see in Bhagavad Gita, where we can, where patram pushpam palam toyam, where we can offer a fruit, flower, leaf, or some water. It says, but with devotion, bhakti, with devotion. Prabhupada says we offer it with love. Right? So there the feeling is important. And the way you reconcile those two things is that just in an ordinary relationship, if you have some feelings towards somebody, like you have a fair, you can be or you can have a fair weather friend. Right? You feel you like this person, but that person needs some help. You're not interested. So that means the feelings aren't very substantive. They're not very deep. When you have deep feeling, that deep feeling, right, it craves expression. You want to show it in some way. It wants to come out and show action. That's how relationship works. That's how bhakti is supposed to work. If we look at it more carefully, like maybe if we express it maybe more precisely, when it says we offer things with love, I would say we offer things, naturally we would offer things out of love or out of appreciation for Krishna. If we have some feeling for Krishna, it craves a substantial feeling for Krishna. It causes us to do something to express it. It craves expression. It happens to us, just as human beings when we react with one another. So there's two really powerful components that have to go together in order for it to really be bhakti. I think, and sometimes we separate those kind of things a little bit. Just the action is the devotional service. If we do something for Krishna, we consider that to be devotional service. But really, it has to include the anukulyena, the good feeling. And in fact, it's the good feeling that's the foundation of the progression. And so, like sometimes in a relationship, as the relationship is developing, right, the actions are oftentimes closely connected to our feelings. And then sometimes the relationship goes stale because it becomes just a normal thing. We've kind of, especially if it now becomes committed, everybody has their roles and they do those same things, and the feeling behind that kind of goes into the background a little bit, and it causes the relationship to grow stale. And so we can do the same thing. We usually, something attracts us to Krishna consciousness. We're feeling some real connection there. But if we don't focus on that, if we don't realize how that is something that's a primary motivating factor for our service, we can kind of begin to go through the motions and thinking that as long as I'm doing all the service that I'm supposed to do and doing some practice, that this is the real service. But really, what Krishna wants as a being, that Krishna doesn't need anything. The one thing he wants is a genuine, authentic connection with us. That's what he wants. Prabhupada in 26th Avenue in 1966, he mentioned, he was giving a class and he said that, that Krishna, that God is one, he says, but he's become many. There's a word verse in the Upanishads, Eko Bahusyam. And he says, why did he do that? Yes, why did he become many? He was one, why did he become many? And he says, just like me. He says, I'm here all the time. And I think at that time they had a couple of 2 or 3 public programs a week. He says, I'm here every day, but when all of you come, then I'm so much happier. So the one thing Krishna is looking for is an authentic connection with others. In one sense, he is one, he's everything. And so in one sense, he's alone. So he finds ways to escape that reality, because connection, real, true love is higher than, not only higher than the kind of situation we're in. The soul can kind of have 3 settings. Right now, we're not aware of ourselves as a soul sufficiently. And so we cannot access the full satisfaction that's the nature of the soul. And so we feel an emptiness to a larger or a lesser degree that needs to be filled. And that's a natural condition for us. We don't even think about it. But the soul itself, our real self, is super saturated with satisfaction, completely peaceful, not lacking anything. And that's Krishna's natural condition. But there's a third type of state of the soul where the soul comes alive and overflows with joy. And Krishna is the stimulation for that. He's the all attractive. And that when somebody comes into contact with Krishna, gradually we're supposed to come to life. Prabhupada talks about devotional service being enlivening. So the soul comes alive, and Krishna, when he sees, the love his devotees have for him, his heart it's already softened and it melts even further. So there's what we're being offered here is much greater than an upgrade of our relationship. It's something much more powerful than that. And so I really think that one of the things we have to do in order to go from kind of where we are now, most of us are in a situation where we're not completely unmotivated and uninterrupted. We don't have that kind of feeling for Krishna. So how do we go about doing it? And so I think for one thing, we need to keep paying attention to what is our feeling. Why are we doing what we're doing? And because we will ask each other, what's your service? What's this? But do we ask that often what we feel about Krishna? Because that's supposed to be what's the motivation, right? The actions of bhakti are supposed to be expressions of our feelings to worship. That's how relationships work. So what are the things connected to that feeling? Because we all have, this is the kind of the entry level thing is we have to have a favorable attitude towards Krishna. It mentions, that the demons like Kamsa are thinking about Krishna all the time. That's a recognized process of devotional service, remembering. But he has a bad attitude, so Krishna doesn't accept it. He says also that the demons, when they come and attack Krishna in Vrindavan, they make him happy. They're helping out with the pastimes. right? That he and his little friend and his young friends are playing out there. Children do that, right? They have, they imagine that they're doing these heroic things. Well, here, real demons come and they kill them. It's really cool if you're little kids. And so they really enrich the pastimes. They please Krishna, but it's not their intent to do so. So therefore, it's not bhakti. The intent is all important. So we at least have a favorable attitude towards Krishna. We meet that lower criteria. But for our devotional service to increase, that good feeling needs to increase. That's what's supposed to happen. There's supposed to be a dynamic that when we do service, or we connect with Krishna in various ways, it enhances our feeling, which further motivates us to more deeply connect with him. So it's a normal interpersonal dynamic that we do, even now. We get to know somebody, we appreciate them, we have some kind of expression of that, and then a deeper connection causes the feelings to grow, and this is what's supposed to happen here. And if we just if we don't pay attention to our feeling, our anukulyena, what we feel for Krishna, a couple things happen, as far as I can understand. That first of all, we may not properly update that. Right, there are things happening. People have we experience great kirtans, or some great festival, or we've read something that's really wonderful. Something really resonates with us, with Krishna, and makes us feel happy. And oftentimes, I find that we want to keep doing that. We want to go to the next ecstatic program, the next ecstatic kirtan, and do that kind of stuff, because it's enriching us, and that's of course legitimate and normal. But are we also going back and saying and taking note about how this is increasing our faith in Krishna? How is this increasing our appreciation for Krishna? Right, because we're experiencing him to a greater degree. It should be upgrading that anukulyena. And the other thing is, sometimes things happen to us that cause us to question our faith or question Krishna. Do we deal with those, or do we ignore it? Do we recognize it or not? And because sometimes, the dark night of the soul is a real way forward to progress into deeper connections. So oftentimes we focus more on the activities and less on the feelings towards Krishna. But they're integral; they can't be separated. And the feeling is of great importance. And so, how to upgrade those feelings otherwise? I think we have to move on from this beginning notion of simply upgrading our existence, because the enemy that we have is being too focused on ourselves. This is the nature of the false ego. We're thinking about our welfare. We're also thinking that we want to be somebody special. We also think that we want to have credit, get credit for whatever we are, or whatever we accomplish. And so that the focus on self, somebody self-absorbed has difficulty entering into genuine, deep relationships. It's the same fact here. Right? So how to get over ourselves a little bit and become more connected and more appreciative of Krishna is to understand that there's more than just eternity, knowledge, and bliss there. That Krishna is offering us a genuine connection with him, that we've been created for the purpose of him having a genuine connection with others. And what is his connection? It's this divine love. So Krishna, rather than being just self-satisfied, he wants to experience loving and being loved. You'll see a lot in Prabhupada's purports about us loving Krishna, but you also see places where he talks about how that love is reciprocated. It's reciprocal. Because if you ask yourself, if somebody asks you, what would you prefer? I'll give you three choices. Everybody can love you, right? You can love someone with all your heart, or maybe many with all your heart, or you can do both. I think everybody will choose both. And so Krishna is not just going to do one. He's not just soaking up all the love. Krishna he's affected by the love. He's grateful for the love. There's a place in the Gopal Champu, it's by Jiva Goswami, where he says when Krishna appears on earth, he seeks out the couple with the greatest amount of parental affection for him. And he feels obligated. He feels gratitude for their love. He feels that he owes them something. And in order to pay that debt, he gives himself to them as their child. He says, but even in that case, he doesn't feel he's fully repaid them. So Krishna is giving us an opportunity to be deeply connected with him and his devotees. And it's not something, the other meaning here of this ahoitiki, causeless, means that this is something that's not deservable or earnable. It's a priceless, and Krishna is priceless. So Krishna doesn't come to us because we're such great people. He doesn't take us because we've become so great devotees. Nobody, even in the spiritual world, even Srimati Radharani, the closest devotee, feels that she deserves Krishna. Krishna is far too wonderful. It's Krishna's kindness, his heart, that accepts us. And so bhakti is a tremendous gift. All we can do is a little bit show some appreciation. The devotees who are super advanced in doing this who are just all sold out for Krishna and just very intensely serving Krishna all the time, they're not feeling that they're feeling that because their understanding of Krishna keeps increasing. They feel that they're not doing anything for Krishna because it's not moving the needle. They're serving with all of their might, but they can't even begin to pay what they see as this obligation and debt to Krishna for what they can't reciprocate to the proportion that they've received from Krishna just by Krishna being so wonderful. So if we can feel somehow more what's available to us, if we can feel more gratitude that this is something that's given to us freely. It's not about us. It's only, and Krishna is already, he's interested in us already. That's why he's come after us. It's his kindness. We weren't interested in him and he came and chased after us. And we don't deserve it. There's nothing we did to deserve it, but just Krishna and his devotees, they feel such love for everybody. It's causeless. And so if we can understand a little bit how fortunate we are and how wonderful Krishna is and how wonderful the opportunity is, right? We become a little more humble. Gratitude is humility. We don't feel that we're earning it by our service. We're just paying back a little bit of what we've received. And when we feel grateful and humble for that, and then so many obstacles go away. We're not trying to become great. We can't become, we're not great. But Krishna thinks we are, which is amazing. So there's a level of just joy and appreciation and gratitude. And then a feeling of indebtedness. I should do something for Krishna. So I think if we want to, devotees tend to kind of, grow to a certain degree and kind of get stagnated at a certain point. Is the third verse of the Shikshastakam, where we kind of get stuck. And so I think one of the things we have to do is begin to really appreciate what is our feeling for Krishna? Why do we feel that way? And is there some way that we can kind of upgrade that legitimately? It has to be. We can't put it on. Krishna wants authenticity. All right. So that I think the time is running short here. So let's take your comments and questions and complaints. Let's do that. We have about 14 minutes left or so. Is there any yeah, William, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for this wonderful class. I just wanted to reflect on something. Just the other day, I was serving food for life with Adi and volunteers, right? And one of the volunteers said to me, sorry, I'm a little nervous. No, that's not what he said to me. I'm just a little nervous, so I apologize. I'm breathing heavily here.
No need to worry though. You can you're in a very, very loving space here.
So he says to me, he asked me a question. He says, so what is your purpose in life? And I looked at him and I looked at the table he was serving, food, prasadam, and I said, to serve. And he said, wow, wonderful. So I just want to thank you so much for this wonderful class. It just reinforces what was in my heart, I'm still learning, and I get nervous when I'm speaking to such a high elevated devotee like, well, you're a Swami.
No. I'm just a regular guy. Seriously, I'm inspired. I'm inspired by what you're saying. That you feel that's your reason for being. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. That makes me feel inspired.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
I can't see everybody. I see Gail has her hand up, so let's.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
I'm looking at the screen here. It says Giri Govardhan. Is that you?
That's me.
Okay,
That's
no,
me.
because I only know one Giri Govardhan, and she is in a female body.
Well, there's more. There's more of us.
Okay. Yeah, so a couple things. Well, for one thing, I just loved this point that you were making, that our relationship with Krishna is one of reciprocal love. Because I feel like most of the time we hear emphasis on the love we should be giving to Krishna, but so not so much emphasis on the fact that love should be out of the love that we are feeling from him.
Yeah, he's ahead of the game. He loves. He already loves us. That's why he's chased after us. That's why he's come. And he's already showing that the relationship is on from his side. It's off from our side. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you made a statement at the end of your talk where you said something. I think I missed it. You said, in that same vein of our gratitude, I think you said that we don't feel great, but Krishna, did you say that Krishna thinks we're great? Did you say something?
He does. He thinks we're important. That's he shows that in so many ways. But he's got so many devotees in the spiritual world. He's just fine. And here we are down here. And what's he doing? He's coming after us, especially in the mood of Lord Chaitanya. He's chasing after us. Here, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So you hear it. Here, take this prasadam. When Krishna says, he's available. When Krishna says, I'm available, you can come to me. Lord Chaitanya chases after us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's making the first move. And even Krishna makes the first move by appearing on earth and showing, giving the Gita and having the Bhagavatam come. He's making the first move, but Lord Chaitanya makes the second, third, and fourth move. He keeps chasing after us.
Uh-huh. Okay, Prabhu, I think it's just one last thing is when you were describing the fact that we have three settings, right? One is we're disconnected with ourselves and with
Yeah.
that
So
relationship.
feeling of emptiness there. Yeah.
Right.
Incompleteness.
And I think that the third one was, the experience of that reciprocal love overflowing.
Love, I mean, in divine love means that I mean, like here in the material world, sometimes we'll have people call it peak experiences or something where like, suddenly, you feel like you come alive, maybe time seems to slow down, and then, and you just, it's this amazing feeling, it's, you zero in on that situation. So Krishna causes people, like there's the verse in the first canto where Narad Muni in his past life, he sees the super soul, and Prabhupada says all of his senses came alive and wanted to do something for him, became separately enlivened to do something, because it's just, you can't, Krishna is just so wonderful, you can't help it, it just makes you come alive. And so like this, there was, when I was living in Detroit, there was this one little boy who was really, I just met him recently as an adult now, but he was a really adorable child. And his parents would take him down to the corner store sometimes, and complete strangers would buy him candy just because he was so cute. They would never see him again. They had to do something. Right? They had to do something. And then when they give him candy and he would smile, oh, they would just melt. Right? So Krishna is like, it just makes you come alive to a level that we can't even imagine. And it keeps happening. He keeps blowing our minds. And Krishna, he's also coming alive in that environment of love. So his love of his devotees is increasing. It's this dynamic of continuous increasing that's happening.
Yeah, on both sides.
On both sides. That's what's happening. And Krishna's not just there soaking up all the love. That's boring. He wants also to love.
Yeah.
He wants to love. And that's what he's doing. So it's this mind-blowing eruption. And so we're supposed to be coming alive by our contact with Krishna.
So what was the second setting, therefore?
Complete satisfaction, peace.
Which is not necessarily...
Atmarama. You're totally peaceful. You're fully satisfied. But the love is a super satisfaction, right? You're coming alive, and you can't just sit there peaceful. You have to respond. Yeah, it's overflowing. The soul overflows. It's a whole different setting.
But in that second setting, does the soul necessarily experiencing his relationship with Krishna, or is it?
No, because then you would erupt, right? Then you overflow.
Right. So the second setting is just about the soul realizing that it's not the body.
Yeah,
right?
So it's like it's hum brahmasmi, hum brahman, or this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was I just wanted to confirm that was what the second setting was.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very inspiring class. Thank you.
Okay. I can't see who else. So somebody else has a raised hand, but I can't see them. So if whoever has their hand raised can do it.
Manohar wants to ask something.
Yes.
Hare Krishna and Giri Govardhan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Inspiring and enlivening and awakening class. My question was about the gratitude and humility. I believe you spoke that feeling gratitude is humility. Could you speak?
I think it's the gateway drug, that if you really feel that you're being given something that you can't possibly deserve. And that's really what it is, that Krishna is approaching us. He's interested in us. And we're just not that great. But Krishna, he has such a heart. The only people that love more than Krishna are his devotees, because they're connected with him. But Krishna sees us through his heart. And he thinks that we're more than we are. And because Krishna is absolute, his subjective opinion, although objectively incorrect, is the one that stands. He gets to do that. He doesn't have to be objective. He can be subjective. And it can be correct. So he sees us as more valuable than we are, which is wonderful. But what can we do? How can we deserve that? Right? And so when someone like Krishna decides that we're worthy, that we're someone he cares about, we have this word that we use in English, right? That we're humbled by something, right? You see it now. People generally, they win some award and they say, "Well, I'm humbled by this." Now, usually they're not. They're just trying to look nice. Usually they think, "Yeah, I should have won this before." Finally, you guys recognize. But there is a genuine meaning behind that. When you feel you received something that you don't, that is really over the top. It isn't something you could have really earned, and so you appreciate it. You're humbled by that. Wow. And so we should be humbled by Krishna because we think it's just too amazing. How can Krishna, who is so wonderful, care for us like this, right? And so then, our notion of earning, it's like, when we perform, devotional service, we can think we're earning it by doing so much service. We can think we deserve it because by virtue of all of our activities. The ego also comes in and thinks that, I'm becoming something bigger and better, right? But the advancement makes you recognize that you're never deserving. You're never earning. This is a gift from Krishna's heart. And all you can do is try to interact with it. All you can do is you have to reciprocate in some way. That's why it says the Uttama Adhikaris, the advanced devotees, think they're doing nothing for Krishna. Because they simply feel that they can't even begin to repay Krishna for his love, to properly respond to that. And so even though they're serving intensely, it doesn't add up to anything. It doesn't make any difference. Their debt is always increasing because they're appreciating Krishna more. And so that makes us humble. That humbles us. It makes us come alive, right? The ego makes our heart hard, but the gratitude opens our heart. The whole process of sadhana bhakti is softening and then ultimately melting the hard heart, which it says in the Bhagavatam is like a lump of solid iron.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, so I see Bhima Prabhu. We're running out of time here.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
I can hear you clearly, yes.
Delightful class. We feel that you're overflowing, that you are delighted and are coming alive by the grace of your spiritual master.
And by the association of such nice devotees. Come on. You guys got to take some credit for this.
You talked about our love for Krishna, Krishna's love for us, and then that desire to reciprocate and please Krishna. And we asked Prabhupada, how can we possibly thank you?
Yeah, we can.
The way to thank me, the way to thank me is to give what I've given to you to someone else.
Yeah.
We feel the most coming alive personal experience when we're sharing Krishna consciousness with someone else.
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times, devotees speaking to a guest or our own experience, approaching someone to give them a book or ask for a donation. And something magical happens. Krishna's love flows through us.
Yeah, because that's what Krishna desires the most, isn't it? That's what he's doing here. Yeah.
So, I just want to mention that there's one quick story probably I told, although only about 30 seconds left. They did a stunt with a tightrope walker walking across Niagara Falls. Did you see that in the media? And they made a tightrope all the way from the American side to the Canadian side. And it's hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air. And this guy's walking across there, and they had crowds on both sides and television cameras, and and before he goes, he says, "Can I do it?" Everybody said, "Yeah, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it," And so he goes across, and it's real dramatic. The rope is swaying in the wind, and he's go all the way across, and everybody, and he gets to the other side, everybody's cheering, "You did it, you did it, you did it." He goes, "Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go blindfolded. You think I can do it?" And everybody goes, "Yeah, you can do it, you can do it." So he puts a blindfold on, he goes all the way across, and it's really, really scary. It's later in the day, the wind is blowing. He gets all the way to the other side, and everybody's cheering like mad. "You did it, you did it, you did it." He goes, "And now I'm gonna go back one more time, and this time I'm gonna go with somebody on my shoulders." And everybody says, "You can do it, you can do it." He goes, "Okay, who's gonna sit on my shoulders?" and nobody volunteered. So Prabhupada did it, and he's calling us to do it also. Give to others, and the conch shell is going. Oh, goes to show.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
We have darshan now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'll leave.
This underwater conch shell blowing reminds me of Gajendra Prabhu. I mean, Gajendra elephant. Surrendering to Krishna. I'm underwater. Krishna, save me. I'm drowning in anarthas, in my crazy mind. Jai Jai, Shri Shirada Mulidhar, Shri Gaurachandra, Shri Jamuna Jaya, William Prabhu, everybody, big ki jai to you. Wonderful class. Bhima Prabhu, if you're still here, you wanted to share something? You wanted to reflect on the nature of our relationship with Krishna?
Haribol, can I be heard? I'm sort of in the
Yes.
middle of nowhere. Just very quickly, we have to remember, Prabhupada said, always be enthusiastic. So we have to break down the word enthusiasm. Theasiastic, theos means God, and means to enter or enter into. So the Latin etymology means to be entered into, for God to enter into you. So that's what enthusiasm is. And we understand by the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is not only between every atom, but he's also in our heart. He's responsible for our every breath. He's responsible for the control of every cell in our body. This is all we're sort of like born into it. We're born into this material world. If we're just a little humble, we understand that we're not the doer. Material nature is doing everything. And based on one thing only, our desire, Krishna enthuses us into his service. So all we have to do is desire very strongly, and then Krishna will take over, and we will be, as Prabhupada said, we will be his dancing puppets. So it's an easier process than we may think. In fact, it's just a letting go and letting Krishna manipulate those strings, called his loving kindness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Those are the strings of love. Strings of love. Okay, dear dancing puppets, thank you very much for participating in class. Wonderful class today. New speaker. He says he's a regular guy, but he's clearly not. We're going to have him give class regularly. Okay. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Give it to Krishna and come again tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Nice seeing everybody. Bye-bye.